Mark chapter 8, the Pharisees demand a miraculous sign, says this: When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had arrived, they came and started to argue with him. Testing him, they demanded that he show them a miraculous sign from heaven to prove his authority. When he heard this, he sighed deeply in his spirit and said, "Why do these people keep demanding a miraculous sign? I tell you the truth, I will not give this generation any such sign." So he got back into the boat and left them, and he crossed to the other side of the lake. But the disciples had forgotten to bring any food. They had only one loaf of bread with them in the boat, and they were crossing the lake. Jesus warned them, "Watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod." At this, they began to argue with each other because they hadn't bought any bread. Jesus knew what they were saying. So he said to them, "Why are you arguing about having no bread? Don't you know or understand even yet? Are your hearts too hard to take it in? Do you have eyes, but you cannot see? Do you have ears, but you can't hear? Don't you remember anything at all? When I fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves of bread, how many baskets of leftovers did you pick up afterward?" 12, they said. "When I fed the 4,000 with 7 loaves, how many large baskets of leftovers did you pick up?" 7, they said. "Don't you understand yet?" he asked them. What we learn from this passage is that God's people tend to forget what God has done for them. They forget his blessings. Psalm 103 says, "Forget not his blessings." Don't forget his works. Don't forget what he's done for us. Remember them. Count your blessings. Name them one by one, because what happened was God just did a miracle for them. He just fed 4,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. And in another chapter 6, we're in chapter 8 right now. In chapter 6, he fed 5,000 people. He did the miracle twice, and yet they're in the boat and they're arguing and complaining because they only have 1 loaf of bread. They completely forget and they completely doubt the God who can do miraculous things for them. And so Jesus reminds them of how many baskets there were left over. The first time, there was 12 baskets, 1 for each disciple. And the second time, there was 7 baskets. And we don't know if the 7 was because there was only 7 disciples with them, but it also says 7 large baskets. So the point is, God has abundant provision for the masses, but also for his own disciples. And yet they're still doubting him. Also, Jesus is upset because the Pharisees keep on asking Jesus to show him a sign. Another passage, Jesus responds to this question. He says, "No sign will be given to you except the sign of Jonah. For as Jonah was in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the bottom of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights." And that was a picture of the resurrection. As Jonah was in the fish and spit up, Christ, in the same way, he was going to die and be brought back to life by the resurrection of the Father.